Hi, I'm Michelle Begue with a look at what's happening in Latin America now. But first, our news trivia. Which Latin American country is placing polling stations in its prisons for the upcoming elections? We'll have the answer later. Unprecedented rains in the south of Brazil have caused flooding in over 300 cities. The heavy downpours occurred in the state of Rio Grande do Sul. More than 150,000 people have been displaced. Rescue workers and volunteers are helping families get their belongings to move out. At least 90 people have died and 130 are missing. Officials have announced the closure of the Porto Alegre airport. 80% of the population has no access to drinking water, and food is in short supply. Panama has elected its new president. José Raúl Mulino, a 64-year-old politician, will be leading the country beginning July 1st. He entered the race late but secured more than 738,000 votes. That was 35% of the vote, enough to win as Panama does not have a second round. Among the issues Mulino will have to tackle are unemployment, pension reforms, and lack of water, as the Panama Canal has suffered from prolonged drought.
Y les digo algo, tengan confianza, que los problemas son enormes, pero tengo toda la voluntad del mundo para echarlos a andar y tomar las decisiones que este país está esperando.
The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime says the drug trade is expanding in Ecuador with alarming effects. The homicide rate is currently 6 times higher than it was 5 years ago. 80% of the homicides are attributed to organized crime. In response, the Ecuadorian government signed a declaration of internal armed conflict, a decree that named 22 criminal gangs as terrorist organizations and allowed the authorities to mobilize the military in major cities and deploy soldiers to reestablish control in prisons. Now let's check out what stories we're following for next week. Colombia's rebel group ELN announced it will resume kidnapping. In a statement, the rebels said the government failed to create a so-called fund that would allow them to sustain their organization through third-party donations. In response, the government said that it did create the multi-donor fund and denied that this was done in return for the suspension of kidnappings. Kidnapping and ransom money have been a way to raise funds for armed groups in Colombia. In 2022, the Colombian government started peace negotiations that seeks the demobilization and disarmament of multiple illegal armed groups. And now the answer to our news trivia. The answer is A. For the first time in Mexico's history, those awaiting trial in a prison will be allowed to vote in this year's presidential elections. In the capital, Mexico City, and in the state of Jalisco, prisons have set up polling stations so that inmates can vote. Mexico could possibly have a female president for the first time in its history, as 2 women are leading in the polls: Mexico City Mayor Claudia Sheinbaum and Senator Xochitl Gálvez. And that's it for this week. We'll see you again soon on Latin America Now.